Hey guys, welcome back to Video Creep. This is going to be my review for the movie Devil's Rejects. Alright, this movie starts off with Tiny just taking a leisurely stroll through the woods with his favorite corpse. When I first saw it, because I'd seen House of a Thousand Corpses and I kind of knew what was going to happen going into this movie, I assumed that that was just Tiny's favorite corpse. That was, he went through all 1,000, and on that 999th, he was like, you know which one? So he's taking this corpse and he's just dragging it through the forest. And normally I think that Tiny is like the cooler of the Firefly gang, but when I really think about it, if he wakes up every morning just to drag a dead naked body through the woods, he's just as fucked up as them. So while he's doing that, he sees cops approaching the Firefly house. And before he can get back to tell them anything, the cops set up and they start mega blasting at the house. Also kind of somber when we pick up with the Firefly family. Everybody's sleeping, Otis is cuddled up to a dead body. It's like sweet, it's like candy. It's very nice. There's something so sweet about the entire opening of this movie for some reason. But the family gets together and they grab their guns and they start having a major shootout with the cops. And again, I don't know why, but there's just something so nice and sweet about seeing this family. Although they're vile and fucked up and do terrible things, it's really nice to see how much they care about each other and how much they band together when something bad is about to happen. That's something I really like about these movies in general, is Rob Zombie does a really good job of making the bad guys the good guys. I know I should be rooting against these guys, but they're interesting enough where I want to see where they're gonna go. Kind of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family. They're fucked up, generationally, but I continue to watch them because I want to see what's gonna happen. And unfortunately, one of the brothers dies in this opening scene, leaving Mama Firefly to run back and grieve over his dead body, while Baby and Otis sneak out of the back. The cops go into the house and corner Mama Firefly, but Mama Firefly takes a gun out of her waist and puts it right to her head, and she goes, "You guys aren't gonna take me out alive." But she pulls the trigger and nothing comes out. So the cops arrest her and the movie begins. From there, we're treated to a really cool intro of Baby and Otis escaping and going on the lam. And you see all the things that you would want to see in Baby and Otis running away from the cops. They're killing people on the road, they're stealing cars, they're doing all of the cool things that we like about these characters, set to some really awesome music. Something I didn't mention in the other reviews is that Rob Zombie has an awesome way of choosing music for these movies. After the credits sequence, we see Baby calling Captain Spaulding, who we then find out is actually their father. In the first movie, we didn't know what Captain Spaulding's connection to the Firefly family was, so to get his connection is really nice. And he tells Baby that what they're going to do is they're going to meet up at a rendezvous point in the event that something like this happened. Now, at this hotel, we meet a traveling band who just checks in, and they're kind of having a good time and talking about their shows and kind of giving each other a hard time. The roadie of that group is actually played by Brian Posehn. Super funny comedian. If you haven't checked him out, I suggest that you do. If you like metal and jokes about Metallica and AC/DC, kind of sounds like Jim Brewer, then check out Brian Posehn. While I love that he's in this movie, he's not in this movie very long. You see, Baby corners one of the guys in this traveling band and turns the heat way the fuck up. And guys are inherently stupid around a really pretty girl, so she easily manipulates him. They force their way into their hotel room and hijack this traveling band. Meanwhile, Mama Firefly is being interrogated by the cops. And there's something about her character in this movie. For some reason, I don't feel like it's the same person. Like, when I look at Mama Firefly in Devil's Rejects, I don't recognize her as Mama Firefly from House of a Thousand Corpses. Maybe it's because in House of a Thousand Corpses, she's in her own house, and so she's a little more comfortable, she's free, she can be sexy and a bit of a nymphomaniac. But here, being interrogated by cops, she just goes full fucking nutcase and sticks the landing. She seems out of her fucking mind. And it plays to her character really, really well. We pick up with Captain Spaulding on the road on his way to this hotel where he's going to meet up with Baby and Otis. And he has a really cool scene where he carjacks a woman as a clown. And the woman doesn't know how to take it at first. It's actually really funny to see. She thinks it's a joke because he's using clown puns and shit. But when he gets serious, it gets serious. Captain Spaulding is an intimidating guy. And there's something about him that's so fun and lighthearted that immediately, as soon as he gets scary on you, you're fucking shook. He has a moment when he actually steals the car from this woman, where he looks in the back seat and there's like a kid there. He was already scared of clowns. And the kid goes, yeah. And Captain Spaulding goes, well, you better be or I'll kill your fucking family. I love shit like that. This movie is just littered with that kind of dialogue that just feels fucking great. Just that everything that you're not allowed to say to people, these people say, and it feels great. Another scene with fantastic dialogue is Otis taking two of those traveling band guys out into the desert where he has guns buried. They get a little tough, and he puts them in their place in the best way. This movie has such a better script than House of a Thousand Corpses on sheer dialogue alone. While all this is going on, Baby is back at the hotel room with the remaining hostages. One of the hostages has to use the bathroom at one point. And so Baby goes, well, what are you going to do for me? So she tells her that if she wants to use the bathroom, she's going to have to hit her friend in the face really fucking hard. And she does, so Baby allows her to go to the bathroom. Now here's something that doesn't make any sense to me. Baby has murdered people. She currently is on the lam, and she's hiding in a hotel room right now. You would think that she would take every single repercussion to not get caught. However, when she lets the hostage go to the bathroom, she allows the hostage to close the bathroom door behind her. It just doesn't seem like something that Baby would allow to happen in the first place. Which is why then the hostage tries to escape. Wow, that was just something that I always thought was weird every time I watched that movie. The hostage is able to escape and she runs out into the desert and she runs right into the safety of Captain Spaulding's arms. Baby goes, stop that bitch. And Captain Spaulding fucking headbutts her. It's nice to see. It's shot pretty well. I enjoy that scene. The cops are still pursuing them the entire time, but I gotta tell you, the cop stuff in this movie is pretty boring to me. Even though aspects of the dialogue that I like about this whole movie, there are cop scenes with that same dialogue that just don't hit as heavy for me for some reason. Every time that the cops are on screen, this movie is slower for me. There's a whole scene in this where one of the cops find out that Captain Spaulding is actually the name of the head clown on the Animal Crackers box. And it feels like that should be important. But on the inside, I'm just like, I don't even give a shit. Once Captain Spaulding gets there, they get the fuck out of there. But they leave all the dead bodies in the hotel room as well for a maid to find. And that scene is really cool to watch with her freaking out and the dead bodies everywhere with like devil's rejects and blood written on the wall. You have the one survivor of the traveling band wearing a mask of her boyfriend's face that Otis cut out. It's sick, but it's sweet. But I would have liked to see her survive. That's one of my beefs with these movies in general, is that no one seems to survive. I would like to see these characters have to battle a former victim who now has it out for them. Since the cop thing just doesn't seem to work for me. But I think a vengeance story would be a lot more interesting. But she's hit by a truck and then that character is fucking dead. The main cop puts like a bounty on them. Again, more stuff that it doesn't seem to fucking matter. It feels like they were just trying to figure out a way to wrap up this movie and they were like, alright, well, you know what, we'll get these bounty hunters and then they'll play into this whole thing. And it doesn't really pay off. The things that are fun about this movie are Baby and Captain Spaulding and Otis in a van on the lam running away from the cops. And the conversations that they're having on the road with one another and seeing that family dynamic. That's what's fun about this movie. Eventually they get to Charles, who's Captain Spaulding's brother, who runs like a hoochie coo cat house type thing. It's where you go to buy pussy. But once they get to Charlie's is when these bounty hunters come in the middle of the night and they execute everybody there, except for the most important people. Charlie has his Lando Calrissian moment where he sells out the Devil's Rejects, and the main cop who's been hunting them down the entire movie takes them back to the Firefly house, where he ties them to chairs and tortures them and tries to give them a dose of their own medicine. Again, stupid, boring stuff. The best thing about this is that all three of our main characters are in the scene. And just when he's about to start killing them, Tiny comes out of nowhere and he saves the fucking day. He kills the cop, and a bloody, wounded, fucked up baby Otis and Captain Spaulding get into a car and they drive off into the distance. Something that I don't understand was why Tiny didn't get in the car with them. It just seems like Tiny wasn't ever a bad person. He always kind of just did what he needed to for the family. Just like in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm looking at you, Leatherface. But instead of getting in the car with his family, he walks back into the burning house, and the house like explodes. Like Tiny just fucking kills himself. And I think that's a bummer, because it would have been really nice to see Tiny return in 3 from hell. Then the big ending scene happens, the thing that everybody remembers when you think about Devil's Rejects, and that is the ending scene where the cops finally catch up to and seemingly murders them, shoots them down like dogs. They all just catch a ton of bullets, which is the thing that had everybody scratching their heads over when Rob Zombie said that he was going to be making a part 3. We kind of unanimously were like, no, we saw them die. But he figures out a way to bring them back, and I am so excited to see it. My overall thoughts on this movie, I think that this is a step up from House of a Thousand Corpses. There's something more digestible about Devil's Rejects than there is with House of a Thousand Corpses. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. There's very few bad things I have to say about this movie. Other than that, the cop scenes are kind of boring. That is the one thing about this movie that brings it down. It's not too long. It's nice and bloody. I would say that House of a Thousand Corpses is more violent. However, the things that they say are so much more aggressive in this movie that you almost don't even notice. It's more of a character piece, but it's a good companion to the first movie. We didn't need to watch them murder and be sadistic and be crazy for the sake of just watching bloodshed on screen. It was nice to get this movie where it kind of builds up their characters. But those are my thoughts on The Devil's Rejects. Whatever you think, leave me a comment below and I'll make sure to respond.